These 3 points, what we looked at is, really the business challenge is bringing AI ready leaders into a changing world of work. And so one of the things in the work that my firm does is, we're working with hundreds of organizations around the world. And some of the things we're hearing around AI right now is it feels kind of like a beehive, right? Everything's buzzing around, everyone's trying to do a bunch of different things. But the real challenge that we're hearing from companies and senior teams is it's not AI adoption. It's how do we get to AI evangelism? And what we mean by that is that their organizations are struggling to identify who can really translate AI into a business elements, into business value.
Our largest client's long-term relationship with Google, and it's shocking to me to say that one of the forerunners of these models is having the exact same problems as my tiny organization of four in the implementation of AI. I actually just designed a training program for their kind of mid-level managers on systems level thinking and how to use AI in that process. And in asking the VP of GTM, what's the expectation of AI use? They're like, that's a good question. And so everyone's using it. The request is, the requirement is everybody use it, but there's no explanation or clarity on what does that actually mean? How are we driving value?
I've talked to a lot of leaders, and I've heard a lot that AI is also being broken down in the middle management tier, and it aligns very well to what you said, Eliana, in regards to, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. It aligns to they're not able to provide that role clarity to share with people like what is it that they need to do when it comes to AI and explaining the why, like what's the value behind it, how, because there's so much anxiety with employees to use it that that middle management tier is where it's getting broken.
So the situation, the action planning worksheet you see in front of you is a simple one-page tool. What we're using in ELE to kind of be the spline. So today we've actually started with the business situation, and that's a top box. And then what this worksheet wants us to do is to identify Mike as an internal client. Where are you today and where do you want to go to?
What came from your group discussions? What stood out? What do you think you have room for improvement?
Some of the insights that we had. So, this is something that everybody was facing in their own organizations. The insights that we had was that, one of the big things that we need to do is to say, instead of just asking everybody to just go do it, start with this whole thing of, the why or what you're solving for versus telling everybody to say, okay, go jump and figure out what the answer is. Because there are certain things that are breaking in the process, like, for example, things are not getting embedded into the existing process. There are a lot of things that are breaking because of which people are not able to go through. So it is all about stopping, taking a pause, and understanding what all are the things that you're solving for.
We did talk about the good news is that measuring completion is somewhat irrelevant at this point. So because the learning needs to be hyper personalized, and the learner can even be the creator of their own learning. So to try and track completion becomes a little bit meaningless. But the good news of that is that tracking outcomes, right? So it's a little bit of, I don't care how you got there, but if you can demonstrate the value that you're creating, that's really the most important thing.
The only thing that I would add is we talked some about the different tools that you could use, and the way that if you did have some content that was more stable in terms of concepts, that kind of thing, you could do some e-learning that was more chunked. And we talked about using coaches as one of the tools, the AI coaches.
We had some good conversation around, like the risk of not sort of taking this sort of approach where getting senior leaders all the way down, down the chain to sort of think about this multiplicative effect of this mindset of being an AI evangelist. If leaders aren't actually creating that space for that local dialogue, the risk of employees maybe turning elsewhere because they're starting to see how, this connects to developmental opportunities for them from a career perspective and a lot of different lenses to look through that.